views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program host and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by TCN TV Network Incorporated. Due to the social nature of this broadcasting channel, videos may contain content copyrighted by another entity or person. The TCN TV Network claims no rights to the said content. TCN TV Network cannot be held accountable for the copyrighted content. TCN TV Network is a messenger and sharer of information and strives to verify but cannot warrant the accuracy of copyrights or completeness of the information on this program.
And then we expand on them with very. I'll finish off the change by buying gum. Pardon? What? And it took me a while to decipher what he was saying. I came up with we can get better at what we're weak at, and we can even get better at what we're strong at. What makes communication healthy or effective? And I. Welcome to this edition of What Matters. I am your host, Erica Lita, and today I have two special guests here with me. And the first one up is Andree Vernon Johnson.
Yes.
Johnson. I had to try to remember all of her names. So Andree is here in studio with me, and coming up in our third segment, we have Carmel Bien-Aimé. She will be calling us live from Montreal, and she'll be sharing her story as well. So today's topic is angel babies. A very, very solemn topic. I'm very happy to say in the last few moments here in the studio, we've had a lot of laughter.
Yes.
Simone is obviously a big part of the cause of this because she is rarely in studio when I'm doing my show. So her energy is here, and we actually need the reinforcement because this is a really serious topic, and it is a very sad topic, quite honestly. And we're going to do our best to give you clear information, to convey the story clearly, and to share any helpful information that we can for anyone who's gone through or is going through this. And this is not just women, it's also the fathers, it's the family, the siblings, the grandmothers-to-be, all of the people that are affected by loss. So today's story is about angel babies. Now, Dave, I did send them to you in order, but you know me, there is a definition. So I just want to put that up so we can be clear about this. What is an angel baby? An angel baby is a baby who died in the womb or shortly after birth. Now, you'll find different definitions, and some will say, well, it has to be neonatal, it's only up until 20 weeks. Some people say it's years after birth. But the idea is it is a baby that either died in the womb or shortly after they were born. And this could be anything from miscarriages, ectopic pregnancies, medical terminations, stillborns, and then infant death. And those are just some of the ways that people come to this experience. So Andree Nicole, she is here with me now. She is not a stranger to the station. She has been here before. She's been in our paper and is a wonderful guest. Yes, she is a life coach. And so when I reached out on social media to women in several moms groups to ask the question if anybody would be willing to speak about their angel or rainbow baby, and the response was overwhelming. So now I know better to not ask in public forums because I will get feedback. And that's something that surprised me, is that so many women were willing to speak about it. But with Andree, it's not surprising because Andree means strength.
Yes.
And Nicole is victory of the people.
Yes.
And she lives here, and she's here, and you see this, she's the embodiment of her name. She is the CEO of Andree Nicole Inc. It's an empowerment organization, as well as having 19 years of experience as an educator. So now you're going to start just telling people many years, because you're not going to number yourself no more. That's a really big number for a lady that looks like you. So 19 years as an educator. She is a vulnerable youth mentor, a life coach, and a community advocate. And even in our conversation on my way here, we started talking about ways that we think we could make communities better, and really you can see where her heart lies. So This strong woman who's the victory of the people has come here today to share with us a heart-wrenching experience. So not only is she all of those things, she's also an author of several books. Victoria's Secrets, 101 Inspirational Quotes for Us Rich Chicks. And I want you to know I actually have that book at home.
Do you really?
And I had no idea that you were the author.
Wow.
So that is super,
Oh my
super
goodness.
cool.
Yes, it is
When I
super
looked
cool.
at her link and I said, I have that book on my shelf. So that's very cool. My eyes can see. And then, if you'll hand me your book so I can hold it up, we have our last book, Beyond the Tears, Healing After the Loss.
Actually, there's one more book.
Oh, there's another one.
There is.
She's prolific.
It's a book for young males, and it's titled Blueprints Just for Him. And so it's 29 quotes that deals with issues that they deal with, and there's affirmations and things of that nature. So that's for the males, and
Wow.
thank
Well,
you.
that's amazing because I have a 17-year-old son, and now I know what my next purchase for him will be because I think it's really important to affirm them. So this last book, Beyond the Tears, Healing After the Loss,
The third one.
this is what you're addressing, is
Yes.
this experience in your life. So let's start at the beginning. What happened?
Right. So this will probably be the third time that I'm actually verbalizing this out in the public. The first time I was asked to speak at the Women's Place about grief and loss, and the second time is that I had an event that focused on Beyond the Tears, Healing After the Loss, and now. So again, thank you so much for inviting me here. I feel honored and humbled to speak about this, and I normally say the unspoken dialogue.
Yes.
That's like another organization that I have, a media literacy, but I really like that because of the fact of a form of empowerment. So 2008, I became pregnant, and you know, the old wives' tale in terms of not saying anything until beyond a particular you know, time of month, being the 3-month period. Pardon me. So it was very hush-hush, so to speak. I'm not a medicinal doctor, however, was always taught to be in tune with your body.
Yes.
And so I know that something was off. And at that time I was teaching in the classroom, but decided to take a day off to have a mommy and son moment. I do have an 18-year-old young king. And so it was the winter time, and I know he still wanted to go to the park and, you know, go down the slide, but Quayshawn is his name, and he didn't know that the way that I was feeling. So I was trying to discourage him from going down the slide because of what I was feeling. But I did mention to my husband that something just didn't feel right within my body. The best way that I can explain it is that I was in labor and feeling severe abdominal pains and feeling very fatigued. And at that point I wasn't showing. So what had happened is that nothing subsided. Even to sit, it was excruciating pain. To lie down, it was still excruciating pain. So just wanted to make sure that all was well. So I went to Emerge, we went to Emerge, and it was a very long time, and even that process there, it was horrid. And every single minute or second or hour that we were there, it just magnified and intensified all the wealth of emotions. And so when we actually finally met with one of the nurses in Emerge, I was requesting an ultrasound. And this gentleman basically said, you know, have I ever been pregnant before? And I says, well, what does that have to do with me requesting an ultrasound? He goes, these are some of the experiences that pregnant women go through.
He said.
He did.
Yes.
He said that. And he also said to just basically lay off the sex and all should be well. And so I kept on requesting an ultrasound, and he didn't, you know, give me one. And so we went home. The following day, I went to work, and even my work buddies didn't know, they weren't aware. But one in particular, her name is Shauna Heath, so I'm not sure if she's watching, it said to me, you know, why are you walking that way? Like, is everything okay? And at that point, I became aware of my movements, and everything was slower, and I was in pain. And actually, I said, no, I'm not. So I went into my classroom. I was in front of my students. And Kayla, one of my former students, is here, so I'm not quite sure if she was in that year in the classroom, but I was in the midst of beginning to start teaching. It was after announcements, and the pain just got worse. And I was trying to hold and keep my composure because I didn't want to alarm my students. Because regardless of the fact that they're students and I am their teacher, it's like you develop this bond that's beyond that. And so it just kept on magnifying to the point where I had asked some of the students to go and get some of my work buddies that were right beside me in terms of classrooms. They had like a discovery pod, so it was like a lot of glass area, but then there was like other classrooms. So they ran and they got them, and they asked what was the problem, what was I experiencing, and I couldn't speak. So the best way that I can explain in terms of how I was transported is that when I was a child, and like let's say it was you and I, and we would lock hands like this, and I sat on them that way, and they brought me down to the staff room. And I remember saying to Dave, one of the teachers, I can't lose my baby. And it was many years after the fact that he said that that haunted him for a very long period of time. So they called the ambulance, the paramedics came and got me. I taught in York Region, and so I was transferred to Markham Stouffville Hospital. And just even the ride there, it was just horrid. I felt every single bump. I just didn't understand what was going on, because the night before I went to the hospital and they said everything was fine. You know, this is what pregnant people go through, but regardless of the fact that they're verbalizing these things, what I was experiencing in my body was totally different.
It was completely different. And so, when you had sought medical attention, you were told that what is happening to you is common. Don't worry about it. Stop having sex, and you'll be fine.
Yes.
And so, like most driven women, you got up the next day and you did what you always do, and you went to school, and you went to teach. And during this, you started to feel worse. And then you went to the hospital.
Yes, I was transported to the hospital.
So when we come back from this break, Andree is going to let us know the rest of her experience, and then how her family and her were able to get through this, and how to cope. So we're going to go to commercial, but I do want to say that as somebody who worked in the emergency room for over a decade, I've seen more miscarriages than I would ever want to. And I can say this, that I do understand that most medical staff are not sympathetic and treat it like a typical medical happening, not understanding the significance for the family. And so, although I can't speak for everyone, I really want to apologize for that. So when we get back from this break, Andree is going to finish telling us her story of loss, and then let us know her story of overcoming and triumph. We'll be right back after this break.
At Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to...
What has happened and how they've healed. And again, and I will tell you this a million times, I thank you. I thank you for being willing to share.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Now, in the first segment, and you can catch the replay, Andree shared the experience, what led up to her miscarriage, and the events surrounding it. And again, I cannot stop saying thank you, because you're courageous, one, to share something that hurts so much. And two, I know that there are women out there that need to hear this. They need to hear someone else's story. It makes me sad that sometimes the only way our story seems valid is if we hear it from someone else. But honestly, Andree, one of the things with you is that you're so, what's the word I'm looking for? You're very, not ambitious, you're accomplished. You're very accomplished, and you have this list of masters and years of experience and all of these things. And I know there are women out there, families out there this has happened to, and they feel that it's because they're not together and their stuff's not together, and you look very, very together. And I want you guys to understand this happens to anyone, everyone. It's not about education or economic class. It's not about something you've done wrong in your past. It happens. And when it does, often everyone around them goes silent. And this is why Andree's here speaking, is to break the silence, to speak the unspeakable. So after going to the hospital and being told very nonchalantly, this is just what happens to pregnant women, excruciating pain, not feeling well inside of yourself, knowing something is wrong.
Right.
You leave, you go to work, to feel only worse, and now you're being transported in an ambulance to the hospital.
Yes. Yes. And upon arrival, being that, you know, I will say the politics of, you know, healthcare, so to speak, there were no rooms. So for a very long time, I was just out in the hallway. And then I was placed in a room with a woman who was experiencing excruciating pain and just hearing her constantly scream. And so I get it, but that kind of added fuel to the fire, so to speak. And then just being spoken to and asked if I would want to have some morphine. And I said, morphine for what? Like, all is well. So even at that point, I didn't know what was going on. I'm thinking, why would I want to have morphine in my body? That's just going to harm the baby. And so it was after when the doctor or the surgeon had a discussion with my hubby in terms of what's taking place. And then it was an emergency surgery because there was internal bleeding. So what had happened is it was an ectopic pregnancy. So the baby had burst in my fallopian tube. And so my dad always says that, you know, blessed that I know, but blessed to literally be here. It was only after the fact, just doing the research, because there's so many different reasons as to why that could happen. It could be hormonal imbalance. Other people, they said pelvic inflammatory disease. It could be sexually transmitted diseases. It could be previous surgeries from the pelvic area or whatnot. So basically that had happened, and part of my fallopian tube, my right tube, was taken. So it was healing all over again. And so that was in 2008. And in 2010, I was in a serious car accident. My car was totaled. And on top of that, what was really interesting is that the paramedics had asked me, you know, are you pregnant? And I paused, and it's like, you know, when you know but you don't know?
Yes.
And then I said no, but I was pregnant at that time. And so what had happened is that in and around that 4-month mark, again, you know, it happened again, in terms of, you know, hearing the heartbeat and then going for another check, only to be rushed to another hospital in terms of this situation happening again. And with that, with the second angel baby, I still remember it very vividly because we were camping, and we told our son, and he was so excited. And I kept that message on my voicemail forever. And it's not to say nobody else was important, because I come from a very loving, supporting family, but I could only just see his face and hear his voice. And how are we going to tell him? Then the third one was in 2012, another miscarriage. And so again, hearing the heartbeat, and again, but the interesting thing is that the technician was very silent. And I said, is everything okay? Like, I understand the whole legality and the protocol about certain things, but I just knew that something wasn't right, because for each of the children, spoke to them. Quayshawn, the 18-year-old young king, is like, wrote letters, played music, spoke. Like, when he came out of the womb, he knew everyone's voice. Right. So it's a relationship, a bond that was created, and I just felt that something wasn't right. My skin was glowing, my nails were just growing, my hair, everything was just amazing, and then it stopped. And I felt like something wasn't right. And the funny thing is that I met that technician a few years after the fact, and I don't remember her name or anything of that nature. I just remembered the feeling of that particular room and the conversations that we had, because she was a very warm individual. So what kind of replaced the treatment from the first hospital, and many had said that I should have sued, but I just wanted to forget.
Yes, you wanted to move on.
Yes. But with the third one, because of the traumatization of the hospital, and then of course I had mentioned in 2010 I was in this car accident and having to always go to the hospital and go to this specialist and here and there, I chose to take the medication where you pass the baby at home. Right. And I feel that that was just as traumatic as well, because you're going through the motions. As you know, you're a healthcare practitioner. Going through the motions of, like, you know, giving birth or going through the labor pain, and just being in that washroom and the baby passing.
Literally.
Yes.
Literally passing. One of the things I was concerned with when I did this show is because I knew that no matter what we did, we would simply never have enough time. There just isn't enough time. You can't rush a story of this depth. There's too many different angles to speak about. Some of them I will address on my page. I really want to keep this conversation going for those who have a hard time, but your lack of care when you went to the place you were supposed to get care, that is one of the things that bothers me the most. And Dave, there is a slide that was supposed to be like last, with, oh wait, no, I think I might have taken it out. But one of the things that, when women were asked, yes, it has the percentages. It's all writing, Dave, and it's just what do they need or what would they have wanted. It's nearer to the bottom. There is a agency named PALE, and they have a lot of statistics, and it's one of the resources that I will recommend at the end of the show. And when asking women, did you feel supported? Nope, it's another one. Try again. One more. That's a list of resources, but you'll see it. It has percentage. So many percentages of women felt this.
Dave?
So many percentage felt that. There we go. So they did, see, Dave, 596 families told us at the time of their last. Almost half of them under half of them felt treated with kindness and respect. How can that number be so low? 28% received the information they needed from their healthcare provider. You heard Andree sit here and tell you she did not know what was going on with her own self. She was sitting in a hospital being offered drugs for pain for something they knew was happening and they had not yet told her. 65% did not feel supported and cared for. And again, you've heard her story. I've seen it. You're put on a chair, you're put to sit in the hall. It's quote unquote natural, you're told. you're quote unquote lucky because obviously your body's rejecting a pregnancy that wasn't viable. None of these things are helpful to hear when this is what is happening. 45% were not told of any follow-up support, and that's part of the reason we have this show today, is so that you know where to go. Almost 70% felt that their healthcare provider did not have the skills to respond to their needs, and 51% experienced stigma from the healthcare provider, like, don't have so much sex. So here Andree went to the hospital, had an ectopic pregnancy, and if you know anything about it, that can be fatal. It will kill the mother. It will literally kill the mother. There is actually no way to save the baby. So even if you have religious reasons why you would not do that, it actually is a situation where you will absolutely lose one, and it's just a question if you will lose both mother and child.
And you know what's really interesting too, because I know the doctor had a conversation with my hubby in regards to, you know, sometimes there's that possibility where the baby can be saved, because of course there was a heartbeat, it was healthy and everything, but
they can move
the fetus
the
was
baby.
growing outside and within the fallopian tube, and he was begging and pleading for that to happen, but it wasn't God's will, I could say now, yes, I would like to say that my family physician or the doctor that I had seen before, like after like the first topic, right?
The follow-up?
Yes, they were fine. It was just the hospital experience.
Yeah, the hospital experience is usually where it's the worst. So when we come back from this break, we are going to have Mary Carmel call in and share her experience with us. I will do a little intro because I also too have some wonderful things to tell you about this lady. And in our last segment, I'm going to have Andree and MC tell you their points. What helped them, what would have helped so much more, and the changes they would like to see. So as I said, I really wish I had 2 hours to do this, but I don't. But this conversation doesn't end here. We do have Facebook, we have Instagram, you've got her contact information, mine, and you'll have MCs. That's what I call Mary Carmel. So after this break, we will be back with Mary Carmel, bien-aimée.
With so many newspapers within the community, it's sometimes hard to tell what separates us from the rest. Most of the time, they all brag about the same thing. You know, the large circulations, tons of online views, and it can go on and on. But what really separates the Toronto Caribbean newspaper apart from everybody else? Well, it's simple. Our service. No, seriously. Hi, I'm Grant Browning, founder and CEO of the Toronto Caribbean newspaper. I have over 20 years of branding and marketing experience, and I've worked with countless companies and corporations to do one thing, and that is to raise their profits with their brand. With over 40 years of combined experience in branding and marketing, our amazing staff is fully prepared to sit down and figure out exactly what you need to stand out from your competitors.
The reason why you don't see that anymore is because
the ad is too powerful, bring too much people.
So what are you waiting for? Give us a call today. We'll be happy to help.
Welcome back to this special edition of What Matters. There's a little echo because I do have MC on the phone. I'm here today with my guest, Andree Vernon. No, Andree Nicole, I've decided to call her for this one.
Yeah.
And Mary Carmel, bien-aimée. She's calling us from Montreal. And as I call her, MC is a friend of mine. But she's more than that. MC is the mother of two. As I said, she lives in Montreal, Quebec. She is a full-time employee. She is also a catalog model. She was featured in a catalog for the makeup company that she works for, and I was thrilled to see it. And another thing that MC is she was honored by the Unique Foundation for sharing her story of being a survivor of sexual abuse. She is an advocate for speaking your truth. I have watched her grow and flourish and take so many people with her over the last few years. She is a pregnancy loss advocate and also a self-love advocate. So MC, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being willing to share, and welcome. Can we hear her? MC?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Oh, hi. I wasn't hearing you properly. I'm so sorry. The volume was down. Thank you so much for having me, Erica. Hi, Andree.
Hi,
I just want to say I listened to you, and I'm so sorry. And if I was there, I would have given you like a huge hug.
I'm feeling it.
This is what you need.
I receive it.
Okay, so thank you for the introduction, Erica. That was wow. I heard some of it, and I didn't know you were following me that much. So I will talk about my story. My story is a little different than Andree. And as well, if I speak too fast, please let me know, because I'm a known fast speaker, and my first language is French. So if you don't understand something, please let me know, but I do believe everybody understands me. So my story is, I got pregnant. I learned, obviously that's a story, I learned at maybe 9 weeks that I was having twins. The reason why I had a feeling is I was very hungry. But why am I more hungry than usual? Because I do have a 17-year-old now, and I have a 6-year-old. So I know the difference between pregnant with one and something else is going on. So I get pregnant, I get followed by the doctor every 2 weeks, ultrasound all the time. And then the doctor at one point, she's like, at 17 weeks, we need to do a ultrasound at the hospital because we want to check your cervix, make sure everything is okay, and confirm that it was 2 girls, because we knew one was a girl. We weren't sure if the other was a girl or it was a boy, because it was DD twins, which is fraternal twins, for those who don't know that term. So me and my then boyfriend, we go to the hospital, and they do the ultrasound, everything is okay, and then the technician stops talking. I knew right away something was going on. Her smile went to a frown, and then she's like, let me get the doctor. And I'm like, okay. If you get the doctor, that's because something's going on. So they talk, and they tell me that my cervix was open. And I was like, what does that mean? It's like, well, if we don't close your cervix, you're going to give birth right away. And I'm like, what? So basically they rush me. I do an emergency cerclage, which is closing the cervix like in a huge knot so nothing happens. So they tell me, you have to stay home, you don't move, you have to take progesterone to relax your uterus to make sure everything is okay, because you're a high-risk pregnancy, because you have twins. And please know, my 6-year-old is also a premature baby. So by knowing that, I knew I wanted to make sure that my babies were going to be okay. So we skipped to 3 weeks. I'm at 20 weeks, and I feel funny, a bit like Andree. She wasn't feeling well. You know, us women, we know our body, we know when something is going on. So I'm like, something is not right. I would go pee more often, and every time I would wipe, there would be extra water. So I didn't know my water broke. But with my first one, the water did like a huge splash, just like in the movies. But this time, it was trickling, like little by little. So eventually, I'm really not feeling well. I have fever. I tell myself it's a cold. But then all that was the result of an infection that I learned that I had later. So eventually, I'm really not feeling well. My water breaks. So I have my then boyfriend call the ambulance. So the firefighter come. I'm crying. I'm hysterical. And I knew it was over. I knew, because when your water breaks, I'm at 20 weeks, the babies are not viable. So the firefighter comes, the ambulance comes, and they bring me to a first hospital. So they bring me to the first one. They install me and everything. Like, do you want medication for the pain? I'm like, well, might as well, because I knew. So I said, yeah, give me something for the pain. So they're like, well, your doctor is at another hospital. We don't have your file here, so we're going to have to call back an ambulance and send you to that other hospital. So please know, I live in the east side of the island, and my hospital was in Côte des Neiges, which is like almost central, okay? So they rushed me in an ambulance, and again, there's bumps, there's a lot of potholes. So I'm in pain. I get to the hospital, so tell yourself it's about 4 a.m. in the morning. I don't know what's going on. I had a feeling because I follow my instincts a lot, so I knew something was going on, but I needed that confirmation, but I did want that confirmation at the same time. So I get to the maternity. They said, no, because I was 19 weeks and 7 days or something, or 6.5. No, you have to go to the ER. So they bring me back to the ER. Then at the end, they bring me back up to the maternity. Like, it was very stupid. I'm like, can you please stop doing that? Because I'm in pain right now and you don't know what you're doing. Please just someone take care of me. So they do the ultrasound in the ER, and she says, baby A, the water broke and she's very low. But baby B was okay. And then she's like, there's no amniotic fluid anymore. So the baby basically is swimming in nothing. So they rushed me to the maternity ward, and this is where it was very painful. They had advised a huge team, and there was about 15 people waiting for me on the maternity floor. I start crying because they all had the pity look on the face, and I didn't need that, but this is what they gave me. So basically they asked me, listen, your first baby is not going to make it, but do you want to try to save the second one? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, she's okay. She's high up. The bag where the amniotic fluid is not affected, nothing. So if you want, we could try to save the baby. So I asked her one question. I'm at 20 weeks right now. If we let go the first baby, which I called her Beatrice, if we let go of Beatrice, will Christina, the second one, survive? She's like, we're not sure 100% if she's going to last until 24 weeks, which is the viable gestation week. And I'm like, okay, so you mean to tell me I'm going to mourn twice? I said, no. I had to me and my ex, we made the decision to let both of them go. I had no choice just because nothing was certain that the second baby with the twin B was going to survive. So they don't even give me epidural, nothing. They asked me if I want to they asked me if I wanted morphine, if I want other drugs, and I said, you know what? No. So I didn't take any medication. So I gave birth 15 minutes apart. I give birth naturally, as if I was, full term and everything was okay. And that's when the problem starts. The baby comes out. I'm able to hold one baby, and then the second one comes out, and both my kids were born alive. I saw the autopsy, and they survived 40 minutes each. And I'm like, can you please give them something so they don't suffer? And me at that moment, I almost died because the placentas were stuck, and I lost so much blood that they had to give me a transfusion of 4 units of blood. I don't know if that's a lot of blood. You tell me, Erica. I don't know. But they gave me 4 units, and I was in and out of consciousness. I didn't even know. There's a big part of that I don't remember because I was in and out. All I remember was rushing to the OR, and the doctor said, hi, my name is Dr. whatever, and they put the mask on my face, and I don't remember anything, just like in the movies. And then when I woke up, that's when I start crying because I'm like, okay, it's real. I lost my babies. I don't feel any contractions anymore. My stomach went down, and they explained to me that there's a medical term for that, but I'm not going to say it because it's in French. I don't know it in English. My amniotic fluid was infected because I have an incompetent cervix. So a natural bacteria that was in my reproductive system went up, which is dangerous when you're pregnant, but it's okay when you're not. So that's what killed my babies and almost killed me with the blood loss, and also I was almost septic because the infection almost went in my blood. So that was very, very painful. And there's one thing they do at the hospitals in Montreal. I don't know if in Ontario it's the same thing, but when you're in front of your door, there is a butterfly. So they know when the nurse comes in, they're not going to say, hey, where's the baby? They say, hi, how are you doing? They're a bit more sensitive. So that I appreciated that part. But this is pretty much my story. I skipped a lot of things because I don't want to traumatize anybody, because this story could be a trigger for some. But I do believe telling that story in order for people to understand that we are not alone in this. It's normal to go through that grieving process. It's normal to blame yourself. I blame myself for that because I'm like, did I eat something? Did I drink wine? Did I do something I shouldn't have done? You know, there was a lot of blame game during that moment. So that's my story. I don't know if I can continue. I don't know if you want me to talk about how my family didn't support me or how people were very insensitive. It's up to you.
MC, thank you again for sharing that. There are details I heard this time that I did not know before. What is interesting, and Andree is sitting beside me while you're speaking, whispering, it sounds like my story. That's what happened to me. It was the same amount. Andree and I had a conversation on the phone, and she tells me that butterflies follow her and what they symbolized to her. So what's very interesting in these two recounting of what has happened to both of you is how similar they are. And I did not know that. I don't interview my guests before the interview. I get a general idea and I let people speak their truth. Right. So I find that it's very interesting. There's so many similarities, and I would really like to hear from other women that are willing to share if some of these things sound the same to you. So when we come back, MC, stay with us. I need you for another 10 minutes. When we come back, Andree and MC, we're going to talk about how you can help. What can you do as family members, co-workers, friends to help? What can you not say? What can we just not say? And where, as the women that go through this, the fathers that go through this, the families, where can you get help? Where do you turn? So when we come back from this break, we will cover that last little bit. I thank you for joining us, and please, if you need help, stay with us. I'm going to direct you to it.
With so many newspapers within the community, it's sometimes hard to tell what separates us from the rest. Most of the time, they all brag about the same thing. You know, the large circulations, tons of online views, and it can go on and on. But what really separates the Toronto Caribbean newspaper apart from everybody else? Well, it's simple. Our service. No, seriously. Hi, I'm Grant Browning, founder and CEO of the Toronto Caribbean newspaper. I have over 20 years of branding and marketing experience, and I've worked with countless companies and corporations to do one thing, and that is to raise their profits with their brand. With over 40 years of combined experience in branding and marketing, our amazing staff is fully prepared to sit down and figure out exactly what you need to stand out from your competitors.
The reason why you don't see that anymore is because
The ad is too powerful, bring too much people.
So what are you waiting for? Give us a call today. We'll be happy to help.
Welcome back to this edition of What Matters. Today we are talking about the very important topic of angel babies. These are babies that are lost during pregnancy or shortly after birth, and we are often silent. One of the things that MC told me on the phone when I was speaking to her, yes, silence. People would simply just not say anything, just ignore you, just not speak to you. That hurts more than you will know. Uncomfortable situations are uncomfortable. That's why we call them uncomfortable situations. And it is perfectly normal to not have any idea what to say. And that is exactly what you can say. I don't know what to say. I'm here for you. My child died. I don't need advice. All I need is for you to gently close your mouth, open wide your heart, and walk with me until I can see color again.
That's beautiful.
Please do not use language that the parents are not using. If they're not talking about God's will, do not bring it up. They may not be there. Miscarriages, ectopic pregnancies, stillbirths, infant death shakes people's faith in God. It shakes their marriages. It shakes their sense of self. So what you may have known them to reach for before may not be what they're reaching for now. Follow their leads and gently close your mouth if you don't know what to say. Another thing before I let Andree and MC take over is when you offer help, offer concrete help. Tell them what you're willing to do. And this, I would give this advice for every and any topic. When you say to someone, I'm here for you, just tell me what you need, they may ask you for next month's rent. Be very clear in what it is that you are offering. Are you offering a casserole? Are you offering childcare for the child that they have? Are you offering company? And if you have nothing to offer, tell them they are in your thoughts. Offer your prayers. But when you make offers of, oh, I'm here for you, just let me know what you need, you put them in an awkward position because they don't know what they can really ask you for. And sometimes people's promises are empty, their words are empty. They're saying things to fill the space because we are uncomfortable. So you just say things. And one of the things I've learned, especially sitting here at this desk for the last year, is sometimes if you don't know what to say, really look at people, see them, look at them, see them, and our eye contact says more than our words can ever say. People can feel your energy, they can feel your vibe. And often in times like this is what they need. So, Andree, you start, and MC, you'll come in after. And Dave, you didn't start the timer, I'll just keep going.
And just in regards to what you said, because when MC was speaking, you looked over at me and then you put your hand on mine. And so just that art of communication, so to speak, through the art of touch, worked wonders for me. And as I mentioned briefly before, I come from a very loving family, but I believe because of the fact that I didn't say anything, so it was almost like a double whammy. I didn't say anything, and then here's this loss of the baby. And so where do you, like, hey, by the way, I was pregnant, and this is what has happened. But I know that the support would have been there. So when it comes to Wayne, his hands. So when I was seeing the image of the hands, that was our form of communication when it was just too much to speak. When the tears were there, it's just the outstretch of the hand. That was a form of comfort. And of course, like after it happened, there were conversations as well too, but I believe in terms of the type of person that I am, it's not to say that I cannot receive help, but I just didn't want those that were around me that are so dear to my heart to suffer and to feel what I was feeling. So I did it as a form of protection. So I do remember, don't bring out the Kleenex. I do remember after, I can't remember which angel baby it was, and I was staying with my parents. And my dad was in my parents' room, my mom and dad's room, and I just started to cry. And he awoke from his nap, and he just hugged me. He's like, you don't have to like carry this all by yourself. And I remember him saying that, you know, my body didn't heal, and it's always been like that, but it was very difficult for me to speak about it. And it was only within the last couple of years that I actually spoke about it when I was asked, as I mentioned before, to speak about the grieving process. So I believe if I had said something, there would have been more. There was support, but there would have been more, but it's just my nature to want to protect those that are very dear to me. And what else happened is that writing is very therapeutic for me. So I would just write in terms of what I was feeling. And those individuals that were in my circle of love, you know, just always had inspiring words. And Dr. Carmel, she's like a naturopathic doctor, but just, you know, I haven't seen her in a while, but just someone who I really trusted. I was raised that way in terms of the homeopathic, naturopathic way. And she would just say, you know, honor yourself for where you are today, not where you want to be or where you think you should be, but for today. And there was a lot of different kinds of emotions. Like I was angry. At the beginning, you mentioned shame. I was questioning myself as a woman in terms of a mother, feeling guilty because I had this 18-year-old young king, but was feeling a bit of pain in terms of the loss of these angel babies. So our conversation when I said my love for butterflies and feeling like a kid in a candy store, literally, I believe on so many different levels in terms of the symbolism and what it stands for in terms of this metamorphosis and this change, and just miraculously, whether I'm on the highway just coming about or if I'm on the 27th floor just seeing this butterfly, I don't feel that it's by chance. So it just gave me an opportunity to speak more about it. I do believe in the Creator and God, and so I said, I don't understand this. This is painful. This is an unimaginable event to experience a loss of a baby, much less anybody else. And what is my purpose? What is my purpose?
Why am I here?
Right. And then I remember it was the night before the time when I was invited to speak, and I was watching some kind of documentary, and I cried, and it felt like I gave birth to those 3 angel babies at that time. And then I wrote something, but that next day I just spoke from the heart. So for me, it's writing, it's getting out there and learning, as you mentioned, that a lot of other women were going through it and didn't understand or felt that they were by themselves, or they were experiencing this by themselves, but not realizing that there is a community out there. And I found that the more that I spoke about it, and then the more stories that I heard and the other journeys that I heard, that was my form of healing. Because it was, I didn't talk about it, I didn't think about it until like 2 years ago. Wow. And the tears would just come, and sometimes I felt like I was having a panic attack. But the holding of the hands, my family, the love, going out and speaking with other women, sometimes I was in the women's shelters and speaking to different women and their experiences, and just like at different events, and then individuals just coming up and saying, thank you so much, you don't understand what that meant. And at that point, I was doing it for myself, a gift for myself, because I just needed to release those feelings. So I won't lie, hearing MC and hearing the different stats and the different things that you researched for this show, this most needed show, brought me teary-eyed, but I know that I am a stronger person, and there's no limit in terms of one's grief or time, in terms of, it's cyclical, but what really does help is the things that you say. And the nonverbal communications and the eye contact and just feeling that other person. Exactly.
I see you. I'm not ignoring you. I'm not pretending you're not here.
Yeah.
MC, you're there, darling? You are up.
Yes, I am. I'm trying to, there's some disturbance. I try to hear what she said.
Okay. What would be
I didn't
your
hear.
tip? What would be, and you and I, MC, actually, I'm going to, when I leave here, I'm going to call you. And we're going to have to do a Facebook Live as well, because Andree's story of support is very different and in contrast to yours. And I think that it's something we really should get into, because a lot of people experience that as well, where they have no support. MC, can I just quickly share what you were told about after you buried your daughters? Is that okay?
Yes, share.
Okay. So MC was told after, because she chose to bury her daughters. Apparently in Quebec, it is free to cremate your children, but if you want to bury them, there is a cost. So MC waited for a month so she could raise the funds to bury her daughters. And at the funeral, she was told by her mother, you cannot cry anymore, you've buried them. It's over.
Yeah, that was kind of hurtful, because you don't control how you feel. Honestly, I was so in shock when she said that. I literally did not cry for 1 week. I was just so in shock, because I couldn't believe my own mother, who went through miscarriages herself, actually said that to me. So that was kind of hurtful. But I don't know what Andree said. I'm sorry, but I just want to add a few things.
Yeah,
when a mother loses a child, or children in my case, your life stops. Okay? It changes, but it literally stopped for a moment that you lost your kids. And then you have to learn to live with the pain for the rest of your life. The pain will always be there. It will just not be as obvious as at the beginning, because you learn to live with it. You're used to it. You know what I mean? And I must say, for me personally, losing both my children At the same time was hitting the bottom of the barrel for me. You know, I never thought I would ever hit that rock bottom, but I did. I did hit that rock bottom. I slept for 6 months. I suffered from postpartum depression. I was on antidepressant, all of it. I could not move. I barely got up to pee. I didn't even shower. It was like, leave me alone. I was just all this is trying to find ways to go to my children. I wanted to die with my children and meet them because it was just, I can't believe it. As a mother, I could not carry my kids. I'm like, not disabled, but my body is made to have kids, and I was unable to. I was halfway there. You know what I mean? I felt them kick. I'm pushing one, and the other one was still kicking. You know what I mean? So this is memories. This is, for me, it was nightmares because every time I would close my eyes, I would just relive again and again what I felt, what I remembered. So it's pretty hard. And as for the support, like me and Erica, we spoke, and I heard you say it. It's be specific in what you want, in how you want to help. Is it food you want to give me? You want to bathe me? Do you want to feed me? Do you want to take my kids for a weekend? Do you want to clean my house? Be specific, because maybe what I'm going to ask you, you're not going to be comfortable doing so. I'd rather you say, listen, I'm sorry for your loss. I don't know what to say, because people are used to lose parents, friends, brother, sister. They have a memory to hold on to. They have pictures. They have memory. Us women that lose their kids, we have to hold on to nothing. We have to mourn the pregnancy. We have to mourn the project we had in our heart for the babies. For my case, is the babies. I had projects with my babies to dress them the same and all that stuff. I had to let that go. So you let go of something that you created in your head. It's not the same thing as losing a parent or a friend, because you were able to touch that person. You were able to have concrete memories with them. But when it's babies, what do you have? I honestly have pictures. The hospital took pictures of my babies. I looked at them like twice. I cannot look at them anymore. I can't. And I don't know if you showed the picture of me and my kids, Erica. I don't know if you did it. That was the only pictures I took of me and my children when I got back in the hospital room. I asked to see my kids, and they had already put them in the freezer. So I had them cold on me. And I took one picture, and I spoke to them for 45 minutes. And I apologized, and I said I was sorry. I love them. I'll see them on the other side, all of that stuff. 45 minutes after that, they took them away, and I never saw them again. So it's hard. And I will never be the same person as I was before. I'm sure it's the same thing from Andree. We may not have lived the same exact situation, but at the end of the day, the pain is there. You lose a child at 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 20 weeks at birth. A year after, the loss is a loss is a loss.
Right.
You know, we're grieving parents. There's not even a word for grieving parents. There's, you know, if a child loses a parent, you're orphan. But what about the parent? How come that word doesn't exist for parents? Because it's too taboo.
It shouldn't.
You know what I mean? We don't have enough time, Erica. We need to have a 2-hour show. I need to come to Toronto and sit down and have a long chat, because this
has already been extended. You know this. So, like I said, I do have a Facebook Live coming up with another lady tomorrow. But I think that with MC, I will do one again. So MC, we'll talk about that later when we can pin each other down. This is a super important topic. I knew there just can't be enough time. I thank Dave Rankin he's producing today. Our regular producer is out, and I thank you for giving me the extra time without making strange looks at me over the
He's blowing you kisses.
Thank you so much. This is so important. Ladies.
Thank you for having me, ladies.
MC, you were essential, and I thank you because I watch, as now MC knows that I stalk her. I don't know how she didn't know this, but I watched MC over the last years, and you know, when she went away on the retreat for sexual assault survivors, for her to come forward, I cheered, I clapped. I was like, this is what people need. They need to see women stand up proud and say, yeah, somebody did me something, but there's nothing wrong with me. And then I didn't see, but I felt, and I knew about her pregnancy, and I knew about the loss, and I can't even fathom And when she started speaking up, and when she started speaking out, I knew I had to have you on. So MC, I thank you for sharing with us, with the world, so many of the painful things of your life, because you show us that we aren't the things that happen to us.
Doesn't define who we are.
It does not define who you are.
Most
and
definitely.
then Andree, who I have her book at home and I didn't even know it. It's very, very cool to meet artists that's arts have affected your life. And I think Andree and I will be having more conversations. Yes, Grant, I said so. I'm going to have her back. She has so much in her head. We're trying to fight the traffic problem. We also have that in our heads. But she's an author of 5 books, one of which I need to acquire for my son. She's a wonderful spirit and a wonderful woman. And I thank you for sharing. And
thank you for having me.
It's a lot. And this doesn't end here because there's more to do. And oh, Dave, if you could just throw up, there's 3 pictures, the list of the resources. There is a place called Pale. So that list, I know who's ever watching, you cannot see it well. I am going to post it on my page, Erica Elita. I will send it to Andree because she's in Ontario as well. She can share the list with her community. And then, Dave, there's a purple picture. It's called Pale. It's run through the Sunnybrook Hospital. The information on this page is phenomenal. And they actually passed a bill. I think it's Bill 144. They had to pass a bill to have kind care for people who lose their children. Do you understand they had to bring this into law? They had to make a law so people would treat people properly. And then the last one there is, I think I sent it to you in a separate email, there is a conference coming. And I don't know, maybe we can go together. There's a conference coming on open conversations. It's a portrait series. It's an exhibition fundraiser from the 24th to, I believe that should say I would say the 26th. It's at the Freedom Factory here in Toronto. MC was actually invited to participate in this, but she won't be able to because of scheduling conflicts. But it is, I'm gonna send you the other 2 pictures, and it's portraits of women who have lost. And you know, it's a conversation we need to have. And if you don't believe that these conversations are important, you think about what we tolerated 50 years ago and what we tolerated 60 years ago because no one spoke about it. And now we speak up and we speak out and we help ourselves. And in that we help others. Servitude is the way to redemption, believe you me. Thank you for everybody who joined us tonight. Please share this show if you know it will help someone. On my page, Erica Elita, I will post all of the links that I found, all the resources that I found. And if you want to talk to someone, I'm here. I mean that sincerely. You can inbox me, you can send a message, you can comment on this YouTube video, but I'm here. Dave, thank you for extending this show for me. I thank you for being here. I thank you, MC, and I thank you, audience. And I will be back next week, same time, same place, for What Matters here on TCN Network.
At Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.